Greetings and welcome to the second episode of ASEI Engineering Tales, a series that aims to highlight the career journeys of our members who have scaled great heights in their career. Some of these are lifelong members of American Society of Engineers of Indian origin, while some of them are exemplary high achiever awardees new to ASEI, yet each of their stories is inspirational. One common theme is that they all started from being an engineering or science student once upon a time. So buckle up and listen in, and don't forget to share your thoughts and comments and get involved if you're not already an active member in the community. Hello, welcome to those who are new to ASEI or non members. Let me introduce briefly. American Society of Engineers of Indian origin was formed in 1983 with a mission to foster science and technology, temper, collaborate in Indo US relations, share knowledge, and create a community of like minded engineers and scientists amongst the Indian diaspora with five active chapters who aspire to promote um, scientific temper and the next generation of engineers. I'm your host, Piyush Malik, founding president of the Silicon Valley chapter, and I'm also very honored to be leading the ASEI National Board this year. Today, in Engineering Tales, we have a very um, special guest whom we would be talking to, someone who has spoken at a couple of ASEI conventions in the past and has been recognized with ASEI Lifetime Achievement Awards in 2016. He's an engineer, inventor, and internationally respected telecom pioneer, entrepreneur, development thinker, and policy maker. Dr. Sam Pitroda. He is a Padma Bhushan awardee by the President of India in 2009 and has been an advisor to three prime ministers of India. But let me tell you a personal story of how I got connected with Sam. You see this picture here. This dates back more than 31 years. And yes, that's me out there. This was TenCon 89, IEEE conference happened in Mumbai, Bombay at that time. And um, the gentleman who came to inaugurate that conference was none other than Sam Pitroda. Of course, I did not know much about him at that time, except that he was heading CDOT and he was the chairman of the Telecom Commission. Coincidentally, 23 years after my first conference ever, I met Sam Pitroda again at this TICON in 2012 in Silicon Valley. And a lot of things happened, great inspirational message. And of course, I was very inspired by him. And definitely, he was one inspirational figure in the field of telecom because he had transformed India's telecom industry. And he then came out with his book, Dreaming Big. And I was following that book release, and then um, we interacted, and I saw him once again at various other conferences where we got to talk and we got to interact. And finally, he came over to ASEI Silicon to ASEI Southern California event where he won the Lifetime Achievement Award. And talk of awards, there's no dearth of awards in his cupboard. And there's one that dates back from ASEI in 2006 as well, which, and of course, since then, he's gone on and done a lot of things. Let me tell you a little bit more about how Sam Pitroda started his journey. Um, he's credited with having laid the foundation for India's telecom and technology revolution of the 1980s. He's been a leading campaigner to help bridge the global digital divide. And during his tenure as the advisor to Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, Mr. Pitroda led six technology missions related to telecom, water, literacy, immunization, dairy production, and oil seeds. He was also the founder and first chairman of India's Telecom Commission. In these plural roles, Dr. Pitroda helped revolutionize India's development philosophies and policies with a focus on access to technology as a key social change. Now, as the founding chairman of the five non-profit organizations, a founding commission of the United Nations Broadband Commission for Digital Development, and chairman of the ITU's um, Empowering Development Board that looks to empower developing countries with the use of mobile technology. In addition, he is a serial entrepreneur, having started several companies in the United States, holds 20 honorary PhDs, and close to 100 worldwide patents. He has published five books, numerous papers, and lectured widely all around the world. Starting from a small village in Orissa, he started his journey with his master's degree in physics and electronics in Baroda, and coming to US, Chicago, for his electrical engineering at and master's degree in electrical engineering at the Illinois Institute of Technology. And he's stayed in Chicago since then. And but at the same time, he went back to India at the calling of the prime ministers, and a very, very inspirational journey. One more tidbit I would like to tell you is he's regarded as one of the earliest pioneers of handheld computing because of his invention of the electronic diary in 1975. So, with that, I think I should now let's go together and meet Dr. Pitroda. Good afternoon, Dr. Sam Pitroda. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you once again. I clearly recall you as our ASEI Lifetime Achievement Award winner in 2016, and I'm delighted that you, as my mentor, are present here to talk to the ASEI members. Please
Thank
give your
you for
thoughts.
inviting me and thank you for thinking about me.
So, Dr. Pitroda, you have inspired a whole generation of engineers while growing up, and I have shared my story with you how my first conference I ever attended after graduating from college, you were the chief guest and you inaugurated that conference. So I'm very super thrilled here to be talking to you. Do you have any message for our audience, young and old, who are primarily scientists, engineers, and technologists, and some of them have gone on to become serial entrepreneurs as well? Any message for our viewers?
I think the profession you are in, engineering science, is one of the most important and noble profession you can ever get into. To me, without science, without technology, there is no future. I was born in 1942. What we had then versus what we have today in terms of infrastructure, in communication, power, transport, education, health, every bit of it has to do with science and technology. Science and technology has not only improved our longevity, decreased infant mortality, but also improved comfort. And there is a lot more to do. I am a great believer, not only in science and technology, but also in scientific thinking, in rational thought, in logical way to approach things. I don't look at past in terms of my religion, history, tradition. I look at my future in terms of science and technology. Of course, I derive my strength from my roots and past, but my wings come from my imaginations about science and technology. So I think you all need to be complimented because you are indeed in the forefront of doing good for the society. You will make a contribution, you are making a contribution, and especially engineers of Indian origin in America. have a huge contribution to make, because whatever truth you find in science and technology, it is applicable to the mankind across the board. Even if you do something in America, it doesn't remain in the borders of America. It becomes universal. To me, the beauty of science is that the truth you find is applicable for humanity. As opposed to religion, when you truth you find, it is only good for you as an individual. So I am delighted that you all have decided to come together to celebrate your successes, to celebrate your accomplishments. And I'm proud to be one of your colleagues. You know, I've been in America for 55 years as an engineer, and I have seen population of Indian engineers in America grow and make huge contribution. And my compliments to all of you. And we are
Thank,
all very proud of you.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. Um, Dr. Pitroda, talk about the book that you're writing. From the book where you left off, Dreaming Big, to now, what has changed and how you are going to visualize the future and present it for our young audience?
Okay, you know, this Dreaming Big was written mainly for my granddaughter in America, who, when she grows up, someday is going to ask, who was that old man who came from India 80, 100 years ago? What did he do? And the answer she will get from her father, who is born and raised in America, is going to be very different from the answers that I would give. So that book was about my own journey. And then when I started thinking for the last 5 years about the changes that I have seen in life, from a tribal village in India, no electricity, no water, no nurse, no doctor, no pharmacy, to America, and vacuum tube radio to handheld smartphone, I started thinking about what has happened to the world. And then I suddenly realized that the world was last designed after World War II by US. That design was based on 5 fundamentals: democracy, human rights, capitalism, consumption, and military. That design gave birth to UN, World Bank, IMF, NATO, WTO, GATT, GDP, GNP, per capita income, balance of payment. For 75 years, we haven't built any major global institution at all. We have lived off that design all over the world. The whole world works on that design. But a lot of things happened after that design. First one was Gandhi-led independence movement decolonized the entire world. That design did not take into consideration that the whole world will be decolonized in 20 years. Then came rise of China. Then came fall of Soviet Union, Berlin Wall. Then came 9/11. In parallel, population increase, technology provided lot many more benefits, longevity, infant mortality decreased, comforts increased, telecom, infrastructure, energy, and at the same time, inequality increased. So if you look at these 7, 8 events, and then finally comes COVID-19. And COVID-19 says everything is interconnected. And my lesson from COVID-19 is that there are only 2 things that matter in life: planet and people. Planet doesn't need me. I need planet because I'm one life form for planet out of millions, but I have only one planet. So I can't really ignore planet. So global warming, worrying about our insects, worrying about our environment, tree, rivers, mountains, all that becomes very important for me, for my next generation. See, I inherited world which was poor, simple, and clean. I'm giving my grandchildren world which is complex, rich, but polluted. So I'm saying I must pay attention to planet first. And second, I must pay attention to people. At the end of the day, people matter. Doesn't matter where they were born, what color they are, what religion they follow, male, female, it don't really make any difference. I must respect every human being like my family. I cannot have enemy. I mean, what is this nonsense about fighting with each other? It just don't make sense. I believe we have now civilized to a point we can have a conversation on this. Until now, we were still very tribal in mentality. This is mine, this is yours, I'll fight, get your resources. Now we can produce anything in this world.
Mhm.
We live
That's
in a
like
world.
the hunter-gatherer mentality that we
Yes.
had, and now we have evolved, is what you're saying.
Plus, we don't live in an economy of scarcity anymore.
Yep.
We live in an economy of surplus. We can produce anything, but we got to decide what we want to produce.
Right, right. And not only surplus, there's a good thought these days. I'm seeing some of the thought leaders talk about uh, thinking about abundance and
That's what
changing
I'm
your
saying. When I
mindset.
say economy of surplus, that is what I'm talking about, abundance. We can
Yeah,
produce enough food. But the point is, we wind up producing for only people who can afford to buy. We don't produce for people who need it. That is because best brains in the world are busy solving problems of the rich, who really don't have problems to solve. As a result, problems of the poor don't get the right talent. So with this hyperconnectivity, which is basically democratizing information, decentralizing distribution power, and demonetizing services. You talked about smart vehicle. When smart vehicle comes, I won't own a car. I won't need a garage. I won't need parking place. I won't need driver's license, no insurance. But what it also means that I won't produce 50 million cars.
Mm.
I'll produce only 5 million cars because 90% of the time car is parked.
Yeah.
So when I produce 5 million cars, I have surplus raw material. I don't need that much steel. I don't need that many tires. Okay. So everything we do now because of technology is going to be restructured, repurposed. Okay. So going back to the idea of the book, so then I said, it is time to redesign the world. Because hyperconnectivity is changing everything. It is changing education, health, governance. It is changing, production with robots. It is AI, and all that is changing everything. But if we continue with the same old design that was designed 75 years ago, it don't make sense. So what is the new design? So I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I sort of came to my own conclusion. All I can do is start a conversation. That's all I can do. Saying, look, we need a world which is more inclusive. Democracy is not good enough. Democracy has to be inclusive. Everybody should be treated equally. Look at what happened here on Black Lives Matter. Look at what happens to Dalits in India.
Yeah.
So you got to take democracy to inclusion. You got to take basic human rights to human needs. You got to create a new form of capitalism which doesn't create inequality, where a handful of people control a lot of wealth and everybody else is poor. You got to really learn to conserve and not consume, because that's the way you will bring sustainability.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
got to ultimately think about non-violence. You can't be thinking in terms of fights like we have been doing in the past.
But that goes back to the Gandhian principles
Well,
that we started with. I mean,
that's,
you were born
that's
in
the whole idea.
Gujarat, so you had an influence from Gandhiji. Um,
That is the whole idea. Idea is Gandhi talked about all of these things even after 42. But in 42, because of World War, these ideas did not find space. So today in the world, you have two visions. You have American vision and you have Chinese vision. And what I'm proposing is a third vision of the world. That American and Chinese visions are basically based on what is good for them and at the same time what is good for world. But first, what is good for them? It is more, you see, today's conversation is more about markets, technology, finance, geopolitical equations, power, military. I'm saying change that conversation. Okay? Have a new conversation where what is good for planet, what is good for people. Let's treat everybody equal. Okay, nobody is high, nobody is low, and maybe it will take us 50 years to get there. You know, but you got to start now, and that's what this book is about.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm really looking forward to reading your new book, and thank you once again for taking this time out for me and for being there for the Society of Engineers, American Society of Engineers of Indian origin is indebted to you for your contributions to India, as well as now you have been in the US for so long. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more generations of youngsters who will be inspired by your talks. So thank you very much,
A
sir.
part
And
of
once again,
American dream, global dream. I have always said that without science and technology, there is no future. And you are the people who create future for the humanity. So continue your journey on technology, science, innovation, entrepreneurship, and hope that what you do will do good to large number of people. I would like you to focus on really people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. What can you do to improve their income, to improve their standard of living? Because technology today is predominantly used for the rich. It is a challenge to bring technology to poor. And that's where we need best brains. I have always said that best brains in the world are busy solving problems of the rich who really don't have problems to solve. And as a result, problems of the poor don't get the right talent. You are very talented group of people. You are in the forefront of technology. You need to put your mind to really help large number of people and see how you can bring technology to agriculture, to low cost housing, to improve health at low cost. There is a lot of technology in water, sanitation, alternate energy, but we need solutions which are affordable, scalable, and sustainable. Thank you for connecting and be in touch.
absolutely. I'm sure our young budding engineers would be very thrilled to listen to this message. And also, some of the oldsters in the audience would get so energized because last time when you gave a message and you keynoted at our conference, you said, think big, And some of us went on to start our own entrepreneurial ventures right after that. And I know you have hundreds of patents. And for the audience who don't know, Sam Pitroda, the father of Indian telecom modernization, here he is. And thank you very much, sir. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much.